When working on a big project like writing a novel, you might get stuck. Who am I kidding? You will get stuck. Not sure what to name this character that showed up randomly? Not sure how to wrap up a specific scene? Well, writing is hard. You will get stuck. And when you do, everyone will give you different advice on what to do in those situations. And you've got to sift through all the advice, including this advice, and find the one that keeps you writing. And here's what I do when I get stuck. I skip it. Especially in the first draft, I use this advice for names of people, things, places, etc. If there's something I know I want to really spend some time researching a cool, meaningful name, I'll put something like insert boat name here, right there in the first draft. Then I just keep going. That's the important part. I don't just hop over to Google and search awesome Viking boat names, because if I did, it would be at least 30 minutes before I started writing again, and I'd never finish. Put in those placeholders and keep going. This works for entire scenes too. I'm an outliner, but recently I came to a part of my story that didn't play out exactly how I outlined it. I really liked the new version though, but that meant I needed to rework the next scene from what I had originally imagined. And after a few weeks of frustration and not writing anything, I just skipped it. The whole scene. I made a note to come back to it, and then just picked up with the next scene and kept going. Then, when I finished the first draft, I went back and found it much easier to finish that scene. Another thing you can do is skip to the part of your story you're most excited about. This works well if you're an outliner. You know where the story is going. Feeling stuck? Skip to the fight scene and write it first. Or write the big ending and then use that momentum to come back and keep drafting the earlier scenes. Writing is hard. If you get stuck, skip naming a character, skip ending a scene, or skip multitude of scenes altogether. You can always come back to it later. One of the best pieces of writing advice I got when I was just starting to write was simply this: finish your book. I've had a bad habit of starting something and being really excited during the early stages, the fun stages like outlining and the first draft, and then burning out once the work gets less fun in the second draft, third draft, fifth, ninth, 10th drafts. And it's usually the promise of that shiny new idea that pulls me away. I mean, come on, who can resist a detective in medieval England who's hired to help track down a were-dragon terrorizing a nearby village? So, I start world building on this new idea and scene building and the shiny new idea until it's just a dull penny. But here's the harsh reality. A 75% finished book is still 100% not a finished book. Until you do the work to get it out there into the world, it's still closer to just being a dream, an idea. Finish your book. There are things you can only learn from finishing a book. You can't learn about the last 10% of publishing a book if you only make it to the 90% mark. Even if you do it 10 times. Find the 20 minutes here and there, wake up a little earlier, work when you're tired, stop watching your shows, whatever it takes. Really, what it comes down to is this: sit down, do your work, and finish your book. For me, writing the first draft of a novel is one of the best parts of the storytelling process. It's a time where anything can happen and spelling doesn't matter. Your only job when you sit down to write a first draft is to get words on the page. It's pure magic. And there are 3 rules I try to live by when writing the first draft of any story, regardless of the length. At this stage, it's all about word count. And these rules help me stay on track toward that goal. Number 1, don't edit as you go. This is up there among the best writing advice I've ever received. Nothing will slow down your momentum faster than reworking every sentence multiple times. This comes later, and it's hard to write something you know is terrible and leave that mess on the page, but you have to do it. No one will see this draft. It's just for you. Leave the mess. You've got more to make. Number 2, use placeholders for names and places. There will be times when a character makes their way into your story unexpectedly, and they need the perfect name. And instead of opening Google and typing name that means awesome bread maker, just type insert bread maker name and keep going. You can use this with a variety of things too, not just characters. I'm working on a story now where a boat needs an awesome name and You guessed it, my first draft is full of insert awesome boat name. Don't let those things slow you down. Momentum, momentum, momentum. Replacing names is one of the easiest things to edit in later drafts. Number 3, have fun. I know, cliche of cliches, but I'm serious. First drafting should be fun. Dive headfirst into your story and don't come up for air until you've found your entire novel and have written it down and saved and backed it up multiple times. And it's important to have fun at this stage because second, third, fourth, 10th drafts are less fun. Most of the parts after the first draft are less fun, so be sure to enjoy your first draft. Writing is rewriting. Recently, I was close to finishing up 2 projects that had taken me a long time, and I was very tempted to just say, this is good enough, and just release the book. And it's a great feeling to release a book that you've written and you've worked so hard for so long and the end is in sight. But for this book, there was one little thing that kept me from reaching the finish line. And that little thing was actually a big thing. I had received some feedback that I knew I needed to act on. There were some little edits I needed to make that I knew would make the book even better, but I was struggling to find the motivation. Enter Furor Scribendi, an essay by Octavia Butler. It kicked my butt, especially this quote. She says, "The moment you find yourself saying, 'This doesn't matter, it's good enough,' stop, go back, fix the flaw, make a habit of doing your best." Make a habit of doing your best. The fact that you've spent so much time and work on a book is even more of a reason to fix the flaw, to make it the absolute best it can be. Will it ever be perfect? No. You'll never publish anything if you're waiting for your manuscript to be perfect. But if you know there is something you need to fix, if you know there's a scene that doesn't work or a plot hole that doesn't quite make sense, don't avoid it. Don't say it's good enough. Fix the flaw. This almost 30-year-old advice was exactly what I needed. Hopefully it's what you needed too. And I highly recommend picking up the book Blood Child by Octavia Butler. The short stories are great, and the 2 essays, including this one, are fantastic. If you're going to write a book, you need to read some books. Read books in the genre that you write, but you also need to read some books about writing. And there are a million writing books out there. You don't need to read them all. In this mini-series, I'll help you find writing books that are helpful in whatever writing season you find yourself in. And in this video specifically, I'll share 4 writing books to read when you need writing encouragement. The first book is one of my all-time favorites. It's called Zen and the Art of Writing by Ray Bradbury. And Bradbury had such a passion for writing, and it shows in this short collection of essays on the craft. Here's a quote that really encapsulates Bradbury's mindset. "If you are writing without zest, without gusto, without love, without fun, you are only half a writer. It means that you are so busy keeping one eye on the commercial market or one ear peeled for the avant-garde coterie that you are not being yourself. You don't even know yourself. For the first thing a writer should be is excited." The next book is the very popular Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. I read this book when I first started writing and didn't realize how formative it was in my growth as a writer until I reread it 6 or 7 years later. And there are many practical things and principles that I do today that came from this book. I can't recommend it enough for writers, especially those starting out. Here's one quote from the book. "If you are a writer or want to be a writer, this is how you spend your days. Listening, observing, storing things away, making your isolation pay off." The War of Art by Steven Pressfield is also a book you've probably heard of before. This book is full of short, no-frills chapters that will make you want to put the book away and get lost at your keyboard for hours working on your story. In the book, he says, "When we sit down each day and do our work, power concentrates around us. The muse takes note of our dedication. She approves. We have earned favor in her sight. When we sit down and work, we become like a magnetized rod that attracts iron fillings. Ideas come." Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon is a short, and I mean short, book of little sayings and reminders that will help keep you encouraged that you can, in fact, make art. You can, in fact, write a book. And it is extremely accessible, which makes it a great go-to if you're feeling discouraged creatively. We'll end this video with a quote from Steal Like an Artist that I hope inspires you to work on your book today. He says, "Don't wait until you know who you are. to get started. I love encouraging writers, especially those just getting started. One of the most common excuses I hear from new authors comes from a lack of confidence. I hear things like, no one will want to read this, or my idea has already been done, so there's no point in writing this. Well, the first thing to know is even the most successful author or creator in general still has doubts about what they're creating. Look up imposter syndrome in creators and you'll see that they still think thoughts like, no one will want to read this. You've got to let that distraction go. Here's a quote from a famous author with a large catalog of work. She said, each time I write a book, every time I face that yellow pad, the challenge is so great. I've written 11 books, but each time I think, uh-oh, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody and they're going to find me out. You know who said that? Maya Angelou. She said this after writing 11 books. Writing is hard, and no matter who you are or how many books you've already written, writing is hard. Second, there are no original ideas. What do you do if someone has the same story idea as you? You write your book. There are no original ideas. Sure, you can, and you should, put your own spin on your idea, but everything is a remix. You could choose to be crippled by this or find comfort in it. I find comfort in it because it means that even my favorite authors, my favorite creators, even other YouTubers making videos about writing are living under this rule too. Everything is a remix, which means the playing field is even. Yet, no one can write a story the way you can write it. If someone gave you and me the same writing prompt, even the same outline, the books would come out much different. They would still be unique. There are books that only you can write. I believe that, so own it. The world needs your book, and who knows, your book might be someone else's favorite book someday. So, write your book, write with confidence. Jump, build, fly.